do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself and where you're working now and kind of your pathway, how you got there?
Yep. Hi, I'm Dilys. I did slightly complicated backstory. When I left high school, I didn't really know what I wanted to do, but everyone seemed to be going to uni, so I agreed to follow as well. And I was reasonably good at physics and music, so I decided to do a conjoint, which meant I did physics, maths, and music papers. And after that, I looked for a job because none of those lead to a very concrete career pathway. And I stumbled upon a teaching scholarship called Teach First NZ, and they're still operating. If side 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 advertisement, if you decide in teaching science might be good, then that's available. But I did that and I loved it. But what I realized when I was teaching is I really loved using science and maths to like problem solve issues that maybe we're all going through or our communities are going through. And I really, really loved working with people. And my students were pretty inspirational as well. So a shout out to them. And through working with them, I realized that maybe a career in teaching wasn't for me at that particular point in time. And yeah, I came back to uni so I could become an engineer.
Can you tell us a little bit about your path through engineering? So, when you came in, did you know exactly what you wanted to do? At what point did you decide? And how have you ended up working at Tonkin and Taylor?
I decided to do civil engineering when I came back in, so I knew straight away. I think it helps when you're teaching like bridge equilibrium every day in class and you realize for some weird reason you actually like it. And also I've been in Aucklander my whole life and the transport has always been bad. So I've sort of always been inclined towards the transport side. And I came in for second year civil engineering because luckily my physics and maths background helped me cross credit that first year over. And then after that, it was just year 2, 3, and 4. So I guess one thing I did miss out on was trying all the different specializations, but I've been hanging around uni long enough that I felt like I didn't want to do that.
Yeah, yeah, that's fair enough. Did you have any reservations when you were thinking about coming back to engineering? Was there anything you were fearful about or
Yep.
concerns? Yeah.
Straight up, I can tell you that if you've been working on a salary, then you're always going to have like apprehensions about going back to study. But I felt like it was really worth it. And I saved up a bit while I was teaching, so that helped. And there's also quite a few scholarships available, especially for civil engineering, because we're such a big cohort. So linking into working at Tonkin and Taylor now, they were kind enough to offer me a scholarship, which really helped me through all 3 of those years. And I still had some student allowance available. I'd used up my student loan by then, but I had some student allowance. So there are ways to fund that.
Yeah, that's cool. Do you think reflecting on the BSc and also Teach First and your experience in the schools, do you think there are any skills that you developed during those kind of two phases of your life that you use now today in your roles?
Yep. I think with the physics and maths, it was the highly analytical side which stuck with me. Um, there's a lot of calculus in that degree, and when I came back to civil engineering, it came in handy. It wasn't exactly transferable, but I felt like I picked up new ideas easier just because my brain had been through all that work before. So now when there was lots of work, it just went, oh, I'll just get through this. We got this. It's challenging, but it'll happen. And I think with teaching, I worked in like a highly intensive environment full of people all the time. And when you have 30 people sitting in front of you, you're always trying to connect with everyone and you always have a few tabs on what everyone is up to. And I feel like that really helped with engineering as well, particularly in those businessy management papers where you have lots of group work. If you've worked with heaps of people, like in teaching, or I'm sure with a lot of other careers, you just end up feeling way more comfortable with group work. Then I know a lot of people felt uncomfortable with it and didn't really like it, but I highly enjoyed it because it reminded me of those times back in the classroom.
Yeah, that's cool. I wonder as well, because you mentioned that you applied for scholarships and you kind of knew to look out for those opportunities, and you used your previous experience in the BSc to help you kind of acclimatize to the workload of engineering. I wonder if there were any sort of other opportunities that you took up within the engineering school while you were here.
Yep. In my first year, I realized I was late for a lot of things, but engineering is so like it offers so many rich opportunities. I barely missed out. So like I didn't really get involved with WIN, for example, until the second year I was there. But even in the first year I was there, I just kept signing up for random events and showed up and like met lots of people that way and found out about a lot of other opportunities. It's just good to talk to as many different people as possible and then figure out where you're best suited to. I also did a bit of stuff with EWB, so Engineers Without Borders. They used to run a lot of in-school visits. So I did that for the kicks to go back to some schools and have some like really connect with like kids. And it feels good to connect to a community that isn't just engineering, but as part of your engineering. I found that really cool. I also got involved in the Dean's Leadership Program. And for anyone who's interested, I would totally recommend it. There's like lots of amazing free breakfasts with amazing inspirational speakers and lots of workshops helping you develop further. So I think that was a good program for personal growth for me. What else? Engineering is just buzzing. For people who think that engineers aren't social and are bad at making friends, they've got it all wrong. there's heaps of stuff for people who want to get involved. And if you don't want to get involved, that's cool too.
Yeah, it's cool. It's really cool to hear you mention the school visits, because WIN has really been ramping up. Actually, thanks in part to Tonkin and Taylor, giving us some funding to go out to schools and take some workshops out and kind of just let people know how cool it is. So
I forgot, but I did outreach stuff for WIN as well.
Yeah, I thought you did.
I did. Yeah. I trialed all the new activities when they first came out.
That's cool. Yeah, and thinking about now you've finished a degree, so congratulations.
Yeah.
And you've started in your role at Tonkin and Taylor. What are you kind of looking forward to in the next 5 or so years?
Oh, I've only been there a week today. This is my 1 week anniversary.
Congratulations.
Thank you. About half of it's been in lockdown, or more than half of it is going to be in lockdown by the end of the week. I think I feel like after coming through uni, I still don't know a lot about the actual industry, but I know I want to know more. So I'm really looking forward to getting involved in lots of different projects and seeing where I fit in, because even within your degree, there's so much variety in what you can specialize in. And transportation, for example, I did like all the transport papers, but that still didn't prepare me for the so many different aspects that transport can encompass. So there's like transportation planning and geometric design and like traffic light signals. There's just so many different little bits that you could get involved in to a great depth, which we don't have in uni. So I want to see which part of that I slot into.
Yeah, that's so cool. And if we go back to thinking about uni, what was your favorite course that you completed while you were there?
Oh, I
Big
have to say unpopular vote, but I'd have to say 201, which was land information systems, I believe. It was the one where you go around and you survey. You go onto the Auckland domain and you survey the ground with theodolites. It's just a laugh. I loved it. I don't think I'll do anything like that in my job, but the lecturers had grumpy dad jokes and no one laughed except for me, but it was a ball.
I would have laughed too.
Yeah, sometimes I feel like there are some aspects of uni which you should definitely show up for, but don't take it too seriously and you're going to have a good time and learn some stuff along the way. Like not everything has to be the thing you're going to specialize in or something you have to do super well in. You can just go there and absorb the information and spend time like thinking about new ideas with people you have fun with.
Yeah, that's cool, and it's a really cool reframing. Because I think something that we find working in the student experience space is that a lot of new students that have come straight from high school really over-identify with grades, and uni is about so much more than that. And I think
Yeah.
all of the things that you did outside of the academic program kind of demonstrate what you can take away from it. Yeah. Do you think coming in having a little bit more life experience like helped you with that attitude shift?
Yeah, I think so. I think it made such a big difference having already done a degree. Like, I've tried working really hard to get the grades before, and I know it can be stressful. So now I was just more selective on what I wanted to prioritize on. So there were some papers which I like really wanted to go all out for, but there were other papers where I was like, my main objective here is to learn. Maybe the marking is hard. So if the grades slip up a little bit, that's okay. Like, all I want to do is learn something and get through it. And I think teaching people also made a huge difference, because now I was the grader and I was looking for things to mark people on. And I know sometimes it's a little bit of a stitch up, like we're looking for a particular thing to mark someone on. And it might not be the thing they studied, but even as a teacher, you could tell that they learned heaps. But unfortunately for them, the official marking schedule meant that they lost out on a mark. But I was still proud of them for learning something. And I could see the stress they were going through. And also, I know that the system can be gamed. So if you look at how it's graded and you look at past examples, and you're not just obsessed with rote learning everything, sometimes you see patterns which could help you study less but still accomplish what you need to do. So some of smart studying is that, like, figure out what you want to learn, go handies on that, learn it all. But at the same time, if you want to like protect your academics and just make sure you get through, then be really aware of what they're asking for, and don't do anything they're not asking for unless you really want to do it.
Just for fun.
Yeah.
Just for a laugh.
Yeah. Learning can be fun.
Right. Yeah. I guess I'm thinking now as well about the internships that you do to get your practical work hours. Do you think your experience was different to the experience of students coming straight from high school in terms of obtaining the internships, how you were able to show up, that sort of thing?
I think yes. Some parts of it, no. But for example, when I applied, I felt like I don't know if it's an advantage, but you sort of stick out a bit because your CV doesn't look like the rest of everyone's. So maybe that can disadvantage you because they're looking for a particular type of intern, but maybe that also advantages you because they remember you more and they're like, why did this person come back? Let's have a conversation and see like where she's at, like why is she back? Is this worth it? And then I think once I was in the internship, it's nice having previous work experience to draw on from, even though it's not relevant. So you sort of have the experience of knowing yourself a bit better than someone who's maybe fresh from high school. But at the same time, I think I have a lot of preconceptions just from my other degree and the way I work. So sometimes it takes me some rerouting to get back to something that slots into engineering better. And it's just being okay with not always being exactly what you need to be, but reevaluating yourself so that you get there.
And kind of trusting the process, like you
Yeah.
know that you're going to get there. You've done hard stuff before, like yeah. So kind of the one theme that was coming through in the questions we received on Instagram was how you made the decision to kind of stop teaching, give up the salary, and move to engineering. And you've touched on it a little bit, but I just wonder if there are any other thoughts that you have around making that transition.
I think a really pivotal moment for me was when I actually did a little engineering project with my students. So I had this form class and we were given 2 hours a week to do whatever we liked. It was like this like groundbreaking, like let's try different ways to teach and learn type of 2 hours, a little bit experimental. And it was supposed to be student led, but what that really meant was a lot of people were like, I like playing Fortnite. Can I do that for 2 hours per week in class?
Yeah.
And that wasn't cool with me because I was a teacher. So it was my job to make them do stuff. And we ended up doing this engineering competition with Transpower. I don't know if it runs every year, but the idea was to find an issue or a problem or an improvement in your community and use science, technology, and maths, STEM to come up with a solution. And I was teaching in South Auckland at the time. So a major problem in 2016 was homelessness, because that was the winter where people, like 2 people had passed away, and it was getting to be a really bad state. And there were 40 homeless in the city center. So that really affected them. And they came up with a solution to design and build some lockers so that they could store their things. And we knew there were people in the town who would administrate this. So it was really just coming up with something which they could use. And they talked to people in the community, like spent some time socializing at the local like soup kitchen, and worked with some engineers from SPIES at our uni. They came in and helped us, and we went through the design thinking process with them. And I think what amazed me was, like, looking at my students, I could see how something didn't sit well with them, so they wanted to do something about it. And I think, like, I really related to that as well. And because I sort of like went into teaching not really knowing exactly what I was into, by that time I'd known. And teaching, in case you don't know, is like a really intensive, it's really full on, and it's like a really worthwhile job as well. But I think if your heart's not completely into it, it's going to be a rough grind. And I knew it would take about 7 to 10 years to like reach my full potential as a teacher. Like in any job, the longer you stay, the more skills you pick up. So by second, third year of teaching, I was at a crossroads where I was like, I could stay here and invest my time into teaching, or I could jump out now while I'm still young and like not quite settled down without many responsibilities, and I could go chase engineering and see where that takes me. And then one day, even if I do go back to teaching, I'll have lots of cool work stories, hopefully, of how the outside world actually relates to the subjects we teach in class.
That's so cool. So what happened with the project? Did they get the lockers up and running?
Yeah, they designed them. The competition was only to design it, and we didn't come first, but we won a bunch of money, which they used to work with Habitat for Humanity to buy materials, and they built them, and then they were put on the local MP's car park so that homeless people could put their belongings in while they got sorted with their lives, hopefully.
Oh, that's so amazing. What a
Yeah.
cool thing to be able to take away from that experience as well. Yeah. I wonder what else did you learn from the high school students? What else did teaching them kind of show you about yourself?
Oh, I didn't realize I liked working with people so much. I always thought that I was a bit of an introvert, but as it turns out, I love working with people, and lots of them. I think with high school students, they also like have no filters, so they're very upfront and honest, and I really like that, actually. I think there are definitely times when you shouldn't be brutally frank, but that's something I quite miss, and like their sense of humor.
Yeah. Oh, that's so cool. I think that's most of our questions for now. Kelly, did you have anything else that you wanted to ask about?
I guess kind of from my perspective, did you find it difficult, I guess, being older than kind of the majority of the cohort or anything like that?
I am quite lucky because I think I stopped aging at the age of 16. So a lot of people didn't realize I was not their age until they got to know me.
Yeah.
But once that happens, I think like we're all there to learn, and I definitely didn't know more than anyone else in the room. So I think we just all try to help each other, and we hang out. And yeah, I found other mature students to like to relate to as well. On my first day, I met 2 mature students like almost at once. I don't know how we did it, but apparently we just gravitate towards each other. And yeah, I think, yeah, it'll be fine. You just like start talking to different people, and then eventually you'll bump into people who are on the same brain wave. wavelength
I
as you.
wonder, thinking about the BSc and the Bachelor of Engineering, how did you find the communities? Were they different? Was it a similar student experience, that sort of thing?
They're quite different. I think maybe part of it is in the Bachelor of Science, there were fewer people in classes, but at the same time, I think the mind that you need to do maths and physics can get like quite focused. So the friend groups were a lot smaller, but in engineering, there's this awesome vibe of collaboration. So just by working through lots of team projects and stuff, you get to know a lot of people. So even if you don't become friends with them, you like end up knowing this huge network of people who you can call on, or yeah, you just recognize people over the years as you like walk into uni, and that's quite nice. Yeah, there's definitely a lot more team stuff in engineering than in science.
What type of music do you do? Remind me.
I do classical singing.
Yeah. And were you able to fit those sort of hobbies alongside the engineering academic program?
Yeah. It just takes a lot of planning, or like making sure you save some space in your diary for yourself. I know it can get really tempting to just work on assignments and projects and not keep just keep working and not stop. But I think if you actually go into your diary and block out time to not be doing that, like spend it on a hobby or like book in time with friends, then that helps you a lot because you don't have an excuse like you have to be there. You're like, I promised I would show up to rehearsal, now I have to go, or I already locked in a catch up with this person, oh, I guess I have to put it down. And then it actually takes a huge load off your brain to be able to do something else.
Did it take you a while to develop those habits of kind of blocking time for stuff, or was that something you found you intuitively did once you came back to study?
I think I've always had to do it a little bit. Like if you've ever done music in groups for rehearsals, then like someone else is dependent on your time, so you can't let them down. So get a diary, put it in. But I think it really happened when I was teaching, because once you're in a job, that's more responsibility, and I didn't want to miss out. So that's when I started to do it. And I find that when I'm already at the tired stage, sometimes I can't get myself out of that hole. So I need to schedule stuff before I get tired so that I can make better decisions.
That's cool. And I think that sort of also highlights again the self-awareness that you have and that you've probably developed as you've transitioned from one area of life to another. And yeah, that's really cool to see.
Yeah, I think like the more you do it, the easier it gets. It's that kind of thing, because you do it wrong several times and then you're like, I've had enough of this. I deserve better for myself. From myself. I need to stop tripping myself up.
I'm still working on learning these skills.
I still fall down, but that's the ideal. I think that's my gold standard.
Right, you're not inside your comfort zone if you're still trying stuff that's new. So
yeah,
ideal. Yeah.
I'm wondering as well if you have any ideas or tips of like what the university could do to make the experience better for mature students, or like more appealing.
I feel like I knew where support was, so I guess I'm lucky in a way. Like there's nothing pressing that I would ask for. So just as a brainstorm, it might be fun to meet more mature students. Like you were saying, I have no idea who the other mature students were apart from the ones who I bumped into. And it like eventually became like BFFs with. So like it might be worth it because I guess we're going through a similar experience. And share some notes around. And then I guess there's not much I would really ask for, because I feel like the normal student support that our university has is pretty good if you know where to look for it and who to talk to.
I guess I've just run into, so like doing this series, I've run into a couple of people that we were hoping to get for the series that have told me they're taking some time off just to like focus on like work, or just because of COVID and studying online. They found it really isolating. So I'm just trying to figure out ways to, I guess it was helpful that you kind of started a little bit earlier. So maybe you had some friends already, whereas I think that they're kind of struggling to get by. So I'm just, trying to have ideas what we can do to make it a better experience overall.
That's extra difficult with COVID.
Mm.
Yeah, I think mental health, it's like so easy to say we need more support for that, but what it looks like might be quite difficult to find out. Maybe because it's a new thing, it's a relatively new thing to be on our radar.
Yeah, and I think it's so individual what different people need in their times of need, I suppose, and what might work for a traditional high school starter student might not work in the same way. Yeah.
And I guess with mature students, some people already have other life commitments just because they're that much further down the track. And I get the idea that it might be quite busy to juggle like family and study and stuff like that. And I don't know the answer to that either. Yeah.
Well, if you think of anything, let me know. And I'm glad to see that you were so successful, like getting through it all. And you know, probably does help that you look 16. So but yeah, no, it's really great to hear that you're thriving so much at Tonkin and Taylor as well.
Oh, well, thank you.
And your 1 week anniversary.
Yeah, they're one of our like the project sponsors as well, as they sponsor WEN, and they're really good. You know, Monique and I were talking about today how supportive they are.
Tonkin and Taylor, pretty amazing. So what we launched last year, I'm not sure how much. Oh, you know about virtual tutoring? You basically.
Oh yeah, I did virtual tutoring as well.
Yeah, you do a lot of stuff.
I just take it so much for granted that I don't remember that I've done it.
Yeah, well, here we are. Yeah, so it was funding from Tonkin and Taylor that helped us launch that virtual tutoring. So
no way.
Yeah, for any prospective engineering students, we offer free calculus and physics tuition, and Dilys played a huge role in getting that off the ground along with Lycia last year. And we also do visits to high schools. So if you want us to come out to a high school, we can come see you. And we also run a high school camp for year 12 students. And like none of that would be available without the help from Tonkin and Taylor. And if you're a current student watching this and you'd like to help out, just reach out to us because we're always looking for more volunteers. So, see you later.
Good luck. See you.
Bye.